one. Go.
Awesome. Good evening, Shy. Welcome to episode 3 of Bonnets and Bathrobes, girly.
What's up? Can you believe it's 3 already? How did we
3
get here?
episodes. We are, I don't know, we're on like the midnight train to Georgia.
Oh,
Because I'm coasting. And at this point, I'm proud of our progress, but I really don't know how we got here.
I guess, like we said in the first episode, consistency is key. That's me making it nice. Yeah. Just gotta stay
You
consistent.
cut
I
out the
think,
extra part.
yeah, I did. I didn't want to add that part in this episode. I'm trying to be good today. How was your day?
Good. My day was productive. I
Mhm.
had a tennis match because I'm a sports mom now.
Oh, I
So
thought
that
you.
was interesting.
Oh, I was going to ask if you joined a tennis league.
That would be nice too,
Yes.
but I like being a sports mom. Maybe I'm not as active as I should be, but yeah. So we had a tennis match. It was all good. She was very nervous, but she had one of the longest sets. So I'm very proud of that. I was
Oh,
happy to get
good.
home and relax.
Okay.
Yeah, she
We
did well.
love
And
that.
how was your day, girlie?
Well, today was a long one. So, baby had a doctor's appointment, had to run a few errands, went and looked at a couple houses because I'm thinking about potentially moving, just a lot of in and out today. So, that was the majority of my day. But outside of that, it was very productive.
That's good. Well, good luck on the house hunt. I know how that can be a headache, but very rewarding at the end.
Just not during.
Agreed.
Yeah. So
So,
we're
what have you got going on for episode 3?
Well, so we have a couple things we need to circle back on from episode 2. Figure we can probably start with those.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So just one of the pins that we put in episode 2, I did download the Kendra G app. Remember, we wanted to see how she was monetizing that. And unfortunately,
I do remember.
I must say, I was wrong because she is not making anyone pay. So I set up a profile as a man, signed in, had all full benefits. So I am not sure what purpose the app is serving, but it is not a purpose of monetization. So we will not compare her to the fair Tasha K.
Okay, so maybe she has a plan for monetization. No worries. There was another thing we were circling back on, which was the rabbi and his advice to married men. I did find the Instagram post, and I'm so excited to play it here live and direct for our audience. This is so exciting. Are you excited?
I am. Let's take a look because I
Let me
did
see
not
your
see this.
face. Okay, here we go.
When you come home from work, and even if she was also out at work, doesn't matter. These things are inescapable. A man feels beaten down by life, and he walks through the door, and he attempts to take emotional comfort from his wife. As much as she will try to provide it, it will not work, because that is not how masculine and femininity interact. I tell men, if you want emotional currency, if you want to receive emotional energy from your wife, only way to properly get it in a way that is respectful to both of your inherent roles is that you, the male, invest in her first. And what that means, very, very simple terms, I tell men, even if you come home and you're beaten down by life, walk over to her and make a deposit, an emotional deposit. And the beauty of it is she takes everything you put into her and she infinitely upgrades it. So you don't have to give her a lot. You can give her 30 seconds of sustained eye contact and genuine interest where the phone is off. And if you just give her that deposit, you give her that emotional energy, she gets filled up with that. She becomes pregnant with that. And then she'll turn around, she'll give birth to infinitely more emotional energy, which will sustain the relationship and which will give you, the man, that emotional connection that you want.
Whoa.
I'm so excited I was able to play that for our listeners, and I didn't want to cut him off where it made my point. I wanted to play it out so I wasn't being biased and everybody could make. Do we ever need to cut men off?
I mean,
it's like the more they talk, the better it gets.
I'm confused at one phrase or maybe one string of words that he put together because it was not a grammatically correct sentence. He said,
indulge me.
He said, and I am going to paraphrase because I'm not sure if I'm quoting, so I'll just say I'm paraphrasing. But he said, you need to make an emotional deposit, even if it's a small one, just about 10, maybe 30 seconds. Is that what I heard?
30 seconds of eye contact with the phone off.
So she can infinitely
and your wife or live-in partner becomes pregnant with that investment, and you get emotional connection for the rest of the night.
Wow.
It's like a wizard. It's like you walked in and you waved your wand for 30 seconds, and now you get to relax. She doesn't talk. She only agrees. And most of it is probably in silence. She takes care of the kids. She does everything you want when you walk in the house because you gave her 30 seconds of eye contact.
Okay,
without the phone.
Okay, so on the most basic of stripped down, like opinions of the statement that he made, he literally said, give her the bare minimum, like you said last time, so she can infinitely multiply that. Where is the balance in the partnership?
There isn't any.
Okay.
This is coming from a rabbi.
Okay.
Teaching men who aren't even from our community. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up last week is that other communities, now we focus a lot on the engagements between Black women and Black men, but other women are not having a much better experience, if better at all. And I want to tell you maybe just some insider information. When I was going through a divorce, I joined a bunch of Reddit threads, Facebook groups, just to get information on lawyers, how do you split the house, X, Y, and Z. Women who aren't Black have the ability to stay home more often than Black women do. They become completely reliant on the man and his employment, him paying for the mortgage, him paying for childcare, the car notes. Most of these women, my age and older, didn't even know who the mortgage was being paid to. They didn't know which car insurance company they had. They hadn't worked in 25 years. This was the scariest group of vulnerable women I had ever witnessed in my life. And at that moment, I understood what a blessing it was that I had not ever made good on me wanting to leave my job, me wanting to create in the home and just, take a hiatus from corporate work to focus on my content, which was really in my mind. That is such a bad deal for women. But I understand why it's there, because you become reliant and there's no escape. What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, unfortunately, when you peel it back and you really look at the bare bones of it, that is literally a modern day version of imprisonment, because what it creates is an individual that is completely dependent on another individual for the bare necessities of life. And then you have the psychological element that people often don't even consider when they look at the whole stay-at-home mom, lifestyle, because it's dual dependency. It's not just monetarily or financially. It's literally it encompasses everything. And I don't even think the women
Mhm.
that are in that position really realize that part. And they'll look at somebody like maybe myself. I don't know if you fall into this category, maybe you do, but wanting to keep a piece of your independence as a flaw. However, it's really allowing yourself not to succumb to being 100% vulnerable to this person that tomorrow, if he feels like it, can turn on you completely.
Absolutely. You're
Yeah.
100% right. I absolutely agree. And this also sparked another thought in me. I've been reading and seeing a lot of videos on, and tell me if you've seen it. Pretty Little Thing has done a rebrand, the clothing company.
No, I haven't. Okay.
It's very beige. It's very monotone.
Mm-hmm.
There are no more BBL fashions on that website. Some women say they don't even sell swimsuits or vacation wear on Pretty Little Thing anymore. They've completely transformed their website into like Zara basics, slacks, blazers, trousers, blazer dresses. The interesting thing is that we are in a society where the focus currently is male loneliness. And I think if you look at politics and you look at the way fashion is leaning, it's moving away from what is called, just because for sake of argument, BBL fashion, which is like this independent, club going, money making woman. She don't work a 9 to 5. This girl gets up and hustles. She might do content. She might do Snapchat. She might do whatever she want. And you're leaning into this very modest, almost Handmaid's Tale fashion that gives women less of a voice. You don't stand out. You don't attract other men. They're already talking about taking away the vote. They're taking away your rights to your body. Why not cover you up, bring you in the house, and make sure you're quiet? And also, they've taken most of their Black models off of their website.
Oh, wow.
And I think the Black woman's independence and body is not where politics and fashion want to go, because they have to cure the white male loneliness epidemic.
Oh, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. That's heavy.
Isn't that heavy?
That is very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a deliberate effort.
It's a deliberate effort, and young women don't see it. And maybe because I'm 40, as soon as I saw people talking about this, I was like, oh no, this has nothing to do with fashion.
Right.
This has everything to do with muting young women. Put them in skirts, put them in Little House on the Prairie blouses, and have them at home making babies and not voting.
And cooking supper.
It's very scary how it all ties together. This is Pretty Little Thing, who used to do collaborations with Saweetie, Jada Waiter, Ari Fletcher, Ashanti, Kylie Jenner, Molly May. All those girls are gone. We don't want any of you independent, broken up, single women representing our brand. We want to go quiet money, which is, of course, or quiet luxury, which is white thin. That's all quiet luxury is: white thin, old money, Eurocentric, slim, and quiet. That's all, girl. It's very scary. It's very scary when you start peeling back what we're seeing happen, and people don't have the wherewithal to understand that this isn't fashion. This is political statement.
So they've literally transformed from quote unquote BBL fast fashion to meek and mild
Mm-hmm.
stay-at-home mom attire, because we won't even call it fashion anymore, attire. That's what they're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That is
Well,
exactly what they're doing.
I would honestly say in 2025, I don't know that Pretty Little Thing has the presence to shift the needle that much. I think that they do, but they eliminated their needle movers when they made the shift. So
Agreed.
I
Agreed.
don't see them withstanding this position in the industry too long.
You know, it's actually interesting because I know a lot of people are searching for this new brand. I mean, maybe it's not new, but it's this Laurel Piano, or some of the fashion girls
Mm-hmm.
want this brand. And they may have like a beige vest for $10,000, trousers for $8,000. These are the people that vacation in Monaco and go to the Monte Carlo race. These people are wearing this,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the same aesthetic that Pretty Little Thing is giving, but it's this resurgence of this quiet luxury, as they like to call it, which is just, you know, a shroud of white Eurocentric supremacy.
I will say that while I can understand Pretty Little Thing wanting to model that particular
Mm-hmm.
aesthetic we were just talking about, they are not a Steve Madden, or honestly, their direct competitor that starts with a F. So no one is looking to
Mm-hmm.
them for the dupe or the inspired look of that greater brand. The young ladies and the
Mm-hmm.
men who are wearing those quiet luxury brands don't even know what Pretty Little Thing is. They're
I
not they're
agree.
if
I
they're
agree.
wanting if they're willing to spend $10,000 on a beige vest, they're not going to come and look at you for your $23.99 version. So the
And
model
that's,
itself is
I hope the
wrong.
young girls can understand that. I
Yeah,
hope the young girls understand that.
yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
agree. And I hope they keep their voice
Correct.
in every aspect of their life, in their hair, in their clothing, in their makeup, in their nails. I hope they keep every aspect of who they truly are and don't conform to what we see happening.
Correct. Yes. So it's a no buy for me. Pretty Little Thing, since they probably don't carry my size anymore.
I It's gonna be a struggle for Pretty Little Thing to keep up, but I
Yeah.
don't know what they got planned.
Well, I guess we shall see. We'll circle back maybe around episode 7 or 8 and see what they're doing.
Absolutely.
How
Now, as
about
far
it?
as the circling back, we went to the Kendra G, the rabbi, and I am going to have to admit, I did not do any research on Tasha K's bankruptcy and how much or if all she has to pay Cardi B back. Did you look
You know
this
what?
up?
I did not, and let me tell you why. I sat down at the computer
Mm-hmm.
and I started to do it, and something came over me. It was like a flush of emotion that said, "We do not really care. We really rather see it.
That's
We
true.
really, it's like we really don't care. Honestly, I'd rather see
No,
it
we
play
don't.
out. I'd rather see it play out. What she
Yeah,
does tell me,
I
what she
think that would
doesn't.
be greater. Yes.
Yeah, like I don't really care about the specifics of how she was able to legally evade whatever, or what
Mm,
Cardi B was able to legally enforce. I would really rather see how it just all plays out. It was almost
I
like when I
agree.
sat down to
Our
look.
children will be very grown once she's corrected her lifestyle and finances. Our babies will be coming to tell us at our condo, girl.
That they want
Listen,
a what's the brand name? Is it Lauren? Whatever. They want a vest. That's what they'll be coming to
Laura,
ask for.
Laura, I can't even say it. I can't even say it because I'm still trying to get in some BBL fashion for this summer. Why you
Well,
playing?
that's two of us.
We'll see
Cause
how that goes.
You know what's so funny? Because I was thinking about it, not just to pivot a little bit. I really think I'm gonna be outside this
Mhm.
summer. I think I have made the conscious decision to
You
be
are.
outside. Yeah, but what is outside? What
You
is
know
that?
what? I have no clue, but I'm gonna go find it
Okay.
because I've recently
Hmm.
gone through a bit of a split. I am reclaiming my
Okay.
singleness. I think I moved a bit too fast after filing and going through a year plus long divorce.
Mm.
And for me to get settled back in right away, I didn't spend enough time with myself. So I'm going to completely date myself the entire summer. I've also leaned into giving up, really abandoning my single mother guilt.
Whoa.
My single mother guilt has me overperforming in every aspect of my child's life. So much
Mm.
so that I feel the effects of it at the end of each day. If she's cold, I'm like, oh, let me turn up the heat. Do you need fuzzy socks? Do you want me to wrap you up in a blanket? If she's done with her food, oh, just leave it in the sink. I'll clean it. Like every aspect of her life is me overperforming. And I know I'm an excellent, amazing mother, but to do justice for myself, I have to scale it back a bit. It'll also allow her a lot more independence
Mm.
and allow me a lot more IDGAF. And
Whew.
today, I didn't even clean up the couch. I didn't straighten up the kitchen table that has school pictures are coming. I have my journals and sticky notes over there. Like I left my leather jacket from the tennis match on the chair. Usually I hang it up in the closet.
Mhm.
I didn't care. I didn't care tonight. The house, I will go to bed. I'll wake up the same way, God willing, and it'll be there.
Well, see, I think that's
We don't even
beautiful.
have guests.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful for you because you're in a space where you can do that. I don't have the luxury of having
Mm-hmm.
space to abandon the guilt yet. I'm gonna have the guilt for quite some time. I'm dealing with 7 months here, so for me,
Yeah,
it's gonna be a little longer, but I'm still gonna make the conscious effort to be outside in the capacity that I can be with having a seven
for
month old.
sure.
Yeah. So, but
For sure.
when
For
he
sure.
13, 14, holla at me. He might be at the hotel room in, Greece or something, and I might be outside over there.
I agree 100% because I said
Yeah.
there was a concert I wanted to go to, and I'm like, you know what? We'll get a hotel room because I might have said it. So one, I'm afraid of taking the time off. I'm afraid of spending the savings. I'm afraid of doing this and doing that and doing this. And it's like, what is this event that I'm planning for that I need 800 hours of paid time off
Mm.
and 40,000? Like, what do I need this for? Of course, at the end of the day, we would like to have a nest egg and get paid when we take vacations. But
Mhm.
girl, I don't care no more. I
Yeah,
don't
I think.
care. I want to live a life where I'm not so comfortable. I have to break my own habits for progression. It's so interesting. Let me tell you something. Ask DeepSeek, which is ChatGPT's
The deep research.
big brother. Yeah. And I
Ooh.
said, give me some inspirational framework to encourage my friends or family to turn talk into action. That's exactly what I asked.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me so many really good points, like bullet points. And the biggest one was burn the boats. And then they elaborated that ancient warriors, when they would go to war and they landed on the shores of another civilization, society, country, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
they would burn the ships that brought them there because they have one goal and there is no going back. And I thought that was so magical
Oh,
I've never
wow.
even heard of this before. Have you heard of this?
No, I have not. No, that's very thought provoking. I have never heard of that. Burn the
Burn the
boat.
boats.
So you have one way out.
Yeah.
So
You have
basically,
one way out and it's up.
so whoop their ass and take their
Yeah.
boats. That's all that is.
Whoop their ass. And if you need to go home,
Take their
you take their
boats.
boats. You
I
take
love it though.
I love it. I
I love
understand
that.
so much about life now. At 40 something, I have to stop being comfortable. I've been in my job for 8 years, at the same company for 8 years. And even me moving around it makes me nervous because I'm always thinking about, oh, what if this supervisor doesn't like me? Oh, what if this leader, or what if this management, or what if this C-suite at the new position doesn't like me and I'm comfortable here? And it's like, you got to really get uncomfortable to progress. You really got to get uncomfortable to make any moves.
I agree. My grandfather was big on that. So I definitely understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So the word of the day or the word of the year is let's get uncomfortable.
Let's get uncomfortable and burn the boats, babe.
Okay. Well, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's see. What do you have next on the docket?
Oh my goodness, girl. The big story I'm saving, let's just do this one real quick because this guy has been a constant headache for me. That is Burna Boy. And you know, this used to be the love of my life.
What has he done
Now,
now?
I believe this is a developing story that happened just today.
Okay. Oh.
Burna Boy tweeted, as he usually does, charting in Nigeria means absolutely nothing to him. Those were his words. Number one on any stream in Nigeria is not something to celebrate, is what he tweeted. And then finished it with, I typed this with love. Burna Boy is always, I almost slipped something out about a YouTube content creator.
It's okay. What I'm gonna say next probably is gonna be equivalent.
They don't like Nigeria. They only rep Nigeria when they go into a party or a wedding.
Why does Burna Boy have the desire to be, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat or look for another term, but a nigga on the corner? Like that is what he just wants to embody. What is it? He wants to be American so bad.
I wish I knew what it was. Even with his desire to be a Black American from Brooklyn, there is this constant, incessant need for him to always just shit on Nigerians. He hates them. And I don't understand. I mean, like, but you know, I don't think.
No.
I'm going to keep quiet because, you know, I'm going to keep quiet.
Okay. I wonder if maybe there's just a piece of backstory that the public just won't ever get from that. And maybe he was truly wrong there and he just doesn't possess the tools to heal from that. So at his station
something
now.
Happened and
Go ahead.
There is a lot of feuding between Davido and Cubana Chief Priest versus Burna Boy. So Cubana is like this super huge influencer with a lot of money, like Davido level money. And he just released a song less than a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So it's probably that song going number one because you have the money to push the streams. And people like this guy. He's like a big chunky guy, like Oga. So, you know, he's like a popular influencer. He's always with Davido. They're huge. They're hopping off private jets. They're driving the fancy cars. They are big boys. And his song Likely, I would have to look this up. His song Likely went #1. And with him and David O being locked in, Burna Boy probably was like, Nigerian charts mean nothing. Chart in the West. I'm sure that's what it had to do with.
Oh,
so
maybe.
mean.
But is he wrong?
He's not wrong.
That's the question. That's the thing. Because I'm over here like,
oh my God.
because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be 100% honest. Of course, I know who David O is. I know who Burna Boy is. This other guy, have no idea. So him charting #1 there means nothing to me who listens to Afro beats because he's not on my charts. You know what I mean? So, but
I
you know
think
who?
Burna Boy was just being me. And you know, Cuba, maybe I hope I don't get banned from Lagos by saying this. Cubana Chief Priest reminds me of, what's the scammer guy?
You're definitely getting banned. Don't say it.
Okay, let me stop.
Yeah.
Let me not.
You're definitely gonna get banned.
No Dead December activities. If I say that.
Yes. Just say potentially unscrupulous behavior. We're not gonna call it. Yeah. Yeah, Burner. I promise you.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, you crazy.
I'm gonna be quiet about the Lagosians.
Yes, let's leave them alone.
Tell me, which story do you think is bigger at the moment? Because this new one is just breaking. And girl, Keke Palmer has dropped that Jonathan Majors podcast. She will not air it currently. And she made a statement. So Keke Palmer was supposed to drop the Jonathan Majors interview just today. She instead dropped the Cash Doll interview.
Catch that tea, smart girl.
She was very smart because the backlash was pouring in. And I think it started with Sherry Shepherd crying with this man on her show.
Oh,
very strange. Very strange.
You know, Sherry disappoints me day after day.
So, every day. Every day. She has that Mammy Jean locked and loaded.
The what jean?
Am I allowed to say that?
I don't know, but you want to say it again? What jean is it?
Mammy Jean.
Okay.
Sherry Shepherd has the Mammy Jean. Mammy.
Okay, what did you say about Jonathan Majors?
We're not going to listen.
Okay, come on.
We're going to be in hell where Kenya took that episode. What I'm going to tell you is that Keke Palmer released a statement because everybody noticed Cash Doll was not supposed to drop today. It was Jonathan Majors. She released a statement that says accountability. It is a loaded word, right? We're living in a time where we want real accountability, especially for things men have gotten away with for far too long. At the same time, finding forgiveness feels harder than ever, and we're still figuring out what true accountability even looks like. Today, we're sitting down with Jonathan Majors to talk about what life has looked like after being convicted of harassment and assault. Well. And I don't know. How do you feel about Jonathan Majors? How do you feel about the interview being scheduled like a normal pod and then not dropping? And then how do you feel about the whole Jonathan Majors being reintroduced as a great Black man in the Black community? What do you think of this?
So a couple things, right? I feel like more people would like to separate Jonathan Majors, the person, from Jonathan Majors, the fantastic actor in our community. I don't think enough people are articulating that. So when they choose to engage with him, it's very convoluted, first of all. That's the first thing. However, what I don't particularly care for, and I don't know if Keke did this in her interview, but for example, like Sherry, I do not care for putting on a cape and being the savior and providing a safe space for him to sit there and have like a golden standard interview. And you're not like Wendy Williams would never.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's fine to indoctrinate him back into the community, but you can never, ever disregard what had him on pause in the first place. So let's not forget what he did because he did it. But we can still, we don't have to forgive. If you want to forgive, you can. But we can still bring him back in and allow him to flourish in his career because he still is talented and people make mistakes. My whole issue with Jonathan, though, is he is not even willing to admit the mistake. And for me, that means he doesn't think he made one, which means that you are then an abuser potentially or allegedly if you think those actions are okay that you took. So those are my issues with him. You know, because you can make a mistake and we can welcome you back and support you. We have plenty of those who have stars on the Walk of Fame who are on our TV screens right now. For him, it's the gaslighting piece for him, with him.
I feel like we're all being gaslit.
Yes,
Agreed.
absolutely. You know, you go get our golden girl who we love, who's never been in scandal outside of her previous relationship, you know, and then we hear she's fully financially supporting you. So you are a kept man, another issue. We'll talk about that later. That was a lot for me to say without emotion. But still, like he is the problem. And honestly, for me, he is more of a problem than what he was accused of, because I don't see there's any learning that's ever going to take place. It's very possible for him to repeat those same mistakes. I am sure that this is not the last time we will see him in murky waters, I'll just say.
I agree. And I think the recoil is so orchestrated that it doesn't even feel genuine. Where did you come from? I've never seen this man in an interview other than, was it the Breakfast Club?
So,
and he's had about 40 back to back since he was accused and convicted of assault and harassment. I'm confused. I've never seen this person be pushed on us for a movie, for a Broadway role, for a commercial, for his Ebony magazine debut. All of that flopped in the Black community, if we're being honest.
You know,
and yet we are. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's even crazier because if you think about the flop of it all, right? He was in arguably one of the best television shows that they have put on screen in the past 15 years. And because
this is Lovecraft Country.
Correct. And I watched that faithfully. I was one of the fans who was thoroughly disappointed it was not coming back. Because I was so invested, just like Underground, same thing. But oh yeah, shout out to Journey Smollett. She was in both. But he didn't even do interviews then. There was no press run. There was no press and marketing behind it. So there was not enough audience, hence why it was not brought back. And that's one of his greatest bodies of work. So to see him now on this apology tour, it's very disgusting.
Without an apology, though.
Without
it's like we're apologizing to him. We're so sorry you had to get caught up in this. Let us embrace you.
That's what Sherry did.
We're so sorry. The mammies are here for you, baby.
You know what? And that's my issue with Sherry Shepherd. That's exactly what she used her platform for. And has he been on Has he been on Tamron Hall yet?
He has with Megan.
They went together. Oh, right, because that's when they had Tamron crying because they used the whole marriage relationship dynamic to engage her feelings, as opposed to him going by himself, where Tamron can hold him accountable and ask questions like a journalist. So they're pandering.
Yeah, yes. Megan Good was there to make sure that Tamron was mammying.
Yes. So they are.
Mhm.
So this is very orchestrated because with no
It's
Megan
orchestrated,
present,
it's diabolical.
it's disgusting.
Yep.
It's
It is
disgusting.
absolutely disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting.
You know, I wish he would
And
sit down with Jesse Wu. I would love for him to sit down with Jesse Wu.
that is about the only person who
Mhm.
would absolutely hold him accountable. Because I don't even
Absolutely.
think somebody as salacious as a Tasha K, that
No.
would be a mammied interview as well.
You think so?
Oh, I believe so. The way she worships. Remember the Martell interview?
Oh, well, you remember I don't watch her, so I saw clips and I forgot about Martell.
The Martell
Ooh.
Holt interview was Tasha being Sherry Shepherd.
Ugh.
There was not a hard, difficult question asked. There was a melody firing squad during that interview.
Oh, wow.
Does that lead us into a bigger problem? Because I remember you were telling me about Shannon Sharp and Damon Wayans interview, which I have not watched. So you'll have to give us the rundown on what we're seeing unfold amongst
So, okay,
in
so
the
let me
Black
start with
community.
okay, so let me start here. So I was very excited to see Damon Wayans sitting down with Shannon Sharp. I love the Wayans family. That's our Black royal comedic family. You know, they have paved the way. They're
Great.
trailblazers. We cannot say that they are not. It just is what it is.
Have they had
However,
a scandal? Never. They are
no.
golden. Yes.
Well, they are golden.
Mhm.
However, if you listen with your
Uh-oh.
ears and your
Uh-oh.
eyes and your third eye watching this particular interview, you will feel a little bit differently when you wrap it up. There were quite a few things that stood out
Oof.
that were very alarming, honestly.
Oh, wow.
So the interview opened up, and it's a long interview, so I can't go through everything, but just a couple things that jumped out. So the interview opened up
For sure.
where Damon, Shannon does his interview, his opening, and talks about all of the accolades and everything. So then Damon, they laugh, they joke, and then he starts to talk about like their start. And he went through a few things that happened in his childhood, and then he got to this point where he talked about how his father used to beat them. And he
Oh,
said it wasn't just, like whoopings. He perfectly stated that his father beat them like he didn't know them. I-
that's triggering. Okay.
okay. He then says when his older brother used to babysit and watch him, his version of babysitting and watching was to hang him up by the collar of his shirt on a door hook, and he had to balance himself with his foot on the doorknob so he didn't choke. And every now and again, his oldest brother, and this is not Keenan, they have a brother that's older, would come in and check on him, make sure he was still
Mhm.
breathing, and punch him in his chest and leave.
This is a child small enough to fit between the doorknob and the
And the
height
hook.
of the door. So
Mhm.
4 or 5 years old.
Right.
Mm.
Because Damon is what, 65 right now? Keenan is 70 or 70 something. So they have a brother older. Now, keep in mind, this particular older brother was diagnosed schizophrenic. And I'm not going to go too much into that because that can be a little tricky, but it just gives you a picture of what's happening. We got 10 kids in this house, 8 at this point, but it'll end up being a total of 10. So these are all the things that he's talking about. Now, he's already laid out those things. Not one time in this
Mm-hmm.
interview did he mention anything about any therapy to heal from this, to work through it. They use comedy as their therapy to get through all of these
Yeah.
traumatic things that happen.
And
And
we can
that was
understand if he's 65
fine.
now, you said he's 65.
Mhm.
So when he was 5 years old, of course, 60 years ago, therapy was not a thing for us,
Thing.
right?
Correct.
Or
Mhm.
anybody. But the thought that as an adult with access and money and power, you don't think it's necessary is what's scary and shows that no matter the playing field, the tax bracket, the profession, the access, accountability is just not a thing
No,
for
it's not.
most adult men. Can you tell us some other things you saw in the interview that really stood out to you?
Let's see another one. So Shannon also asked him, as he was talking about this great father he had, right? What was the greatest thing
Mm,
his father ever did? He looked directly at Shannon Sharp and said, "Come home."
that was the requirement.
Come
That
home.
was the measure
That
of
was the
standard.
that was the measure. But it's not the measure or the response that was the most triggering. He immediately followed the "come home" with, "because my mother didn't make it easy."
The woman with the 10 kids stuck in the house,
No
little to
job.
no money,
No money.
cooking, cleaning,
Mhm. Because my
and
mother didn't make it easy. Mhm.
she was the problem.
She was the problem because she
Dad
was
just
always
needed to come
complaining.
home.
Yeah. Mhm. Mom,
Oh, not
mom was always
complaining.
yeah, mom was always complaining. Dad said she was always complaining because she needed things, like panties, bras, deodorant. It was so many things. She just always need, 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 need. And dad was barely making $12,000 a year. So how dare you complain? At least he came home. Huh?
How dare she?
How dare she? So those were a few very triggering things, but those things kind of laid the foundation
Mm-hmm.
of knowing that everything else that I heard in that interview was going to support those previous things he said, because it continued to go on for maybe an hour, hour and a half. And even in his adulthood, he probably doesn't even realize it, but he literally repeated his father's same behavior. But because he had money and
Oof.
access, for him, it doesn't look the same.
The thing that's also troubling, and I don't know if this came from the same interview. I did see somebody post about it on Instagram recently. He jokingly said he fell in love with his nephew's girlfriend. Was that in the interview? Did they actually date?
So there was never any relation mentioned. There was a fall in love
Oh,
situation that was stated. So it's possible that that is true. I can't confirm that from the interview though, but I wouldn't put it past them because
I would
behavior,
love to know which nephew that is. If it's the one on, no, that's his son.
that's his son.
So who is? Oh, that's interesting. His
Who's the
son is on the
nephew?
current TV show.
With him, right? On Papa's house.
Okay.
So
How
it, yeah.
disturbing. How absolutely disturbing.
Well, and that's the thing. It's just all of it is just very disturbing. Even his relationship with his wife. Oh my goodness, he made a horrible reference. Oh my, I had to turn the TV off and go make a coffee. He literally said when Shannon Sharp asked about his divorce or about his marriage, what did he learn? I think the question was, what did you learn with marriage, or what did you learn in divorce? It was something like that. I'm paraphrasing. He said, it's cheaper to keep her or cheaper to kill her, and then laughed. Excuse
No.
me? Excuse me? But
A
because they're
femicide
comedians.
joke. We love those.
I mean, because femicide is great. What? Like, I can't believe that they left that in the episode. But they sure did.
I wonder if Shannon Sharp is the Vlad of the. No, Vlad is the Vlad of the Black community. I wonder if Shannon Sharp is the new Vlad of the Black community. Because why would that stay? Why wouldn't that be edited out? Oh, well, I know why.
I was
The
about to
same
say,
reason Gary Owens got to go on Shannon Sharp and talk about and disrespect Black women. Oh, we know why.
let's remember who Shannon Sharp is.
It.
Because Michelle, I promise you, is not you or I. His Michelle ain't looking like us. But it's okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's
We have such an uphill battle.
52.
It's all you, baby. What would Shy do? What would Shy do? Tasha K recently did an interview with Hazel E. And they brought up Nikki and her Nikki baby.
Okay.
The Arabian princess from Love and Hip Hop Hollywood?
Miami.
And is she from both?
No, she's just Miami.
The girl gets around.
No, she was dating Cisco for a moment, and he was on LA. And that's the only time she had the connection.
Cisco's a very older gentleman.
She likes it that way.
Well, she was dating one of the balls, wasn't she?
She thought she was, but carry on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So LeAngelo and Nikki have a baby. Hazel E was dropping some tea that I think her good friend Nikki gave her. And what would Shy do? My question to you is that Hazel E said that Nikki wanted a life outside of what LeAngelo was able to provide her. So not a life of poverty, not a struggle, but he already had a house. He wasn't like dropping a new G-Wagon. So Hazel E made it sound like, well, Nikki baby had a choice. Keep her lifestyle and be, a single mom without LeAngelo, or accept this kind of settled in life with the basketball player, the new baby. You have a beautiful home, you'll have cars, but if you really want the lavish stuff, it's your own money. What would Shy do? Because I'm torn.
I'm
torn because if he's a good guy and offering you a life that is beautiful, but not Instagrammable, maybe. How about that? It's not a G-Wagon. You're not at the Hermes store every weekend, but Nikki baby has a lifestyle that she enjoys. What would Shy do?
So I'm going to have to say there has to be some details missing, because I think that's an absolutely ludicrous comparison, right? Because there's no way I am tearing up my family because my family that my man can support and take care of and provide for, because he can't provide in the manner, in an exorbitant manner, like a lot, like over an abundance of what we actually need.
Right.
So I can go get G-Wagons every other week. Like, I'm not breaking my family up for that. You know what I'm saying? That's ridiculous. But what I don't understand is if he can provide a basic life that is still a good luxury life, and I add to that, we can still have what I want. Because I don't care about, if he can do the basis, I can pad that and get it to the level I want. I don't mind padding to get it to the level I need it to be for me. I'm just not doing it all.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I agree. I'm at the point in my life where I agree. You provide a good life. I can always enhance it, upgrade it, magnify it for the both of us to enjoy some luxuries.
Yeah.
Right? But I would not, I agree. I agree. I wouldn't break up my family for this. And Hazel E was making a comparison like Leangelo is happy now. Leangelo Ball, who is a man that Nikki Baby understands social media, Instagram. If he's not already on Twitch or streaming on these other servers and creating content, he can. He's a ball.
Correct.
These people have social media presence. He can make millions of dollars every 90 days from streaming and showcasing his life. Whatever he wants to do. She knew how to upgrade that income. So I agree with you. Something's missing. But Hazel E is saying something's missing. And I remember when Nikki announced their breakup, she also announced within the same week, some guy was pulling a brand new G-Wagon off of the delivery truck for her with a bow on it.
You know,
so Nikki may be just too addicted to the public reception. You have a baby, you had a family, you were very close to what the dream is for most girls who follow you.
No, hon.
And you said, no, I want the blue.
She did that with 2 kids from him. They have 2.
They have 2 children?
They have. She just had one. They have 2.
That's why I was the first and only.
No, they have 2. And we can go back and check and confirm, but no, they have 2. Because I remember the first time she announced the pregnancy, and then last year or so or something, she announced the second one. Like, they have 2 children. It's not just one. That's why I say it's something missing here, because I'm not breaking. Nah. Unless she is just that delusional and that bird brainish, which she's in Miami, that could be the case. We already know. That doesn't make sense.
That is real. You just broke news to me, because I thought there was just one tiny baby, the newborn.
No.
Wow. Okay. I'm glad we can get in a what would Shy do. Let's add a lighter layer, because this episode has been very intense.
I just checked it, and yes,
they're back-to-back babies.
Yeah, one July 19, 2023, and a daughter. She had a son first, and then a daughter, both balls, December 3rd, 2024, literally back to back.
Wow, Nikki.
Imagine. That's a very
it's so. Yeah, and I'm gonna look it up right now as we speak. If I'm not mistaken, the weirdest thing is the new girl, who was an African American woman. I don't think she posted engagement. Like, they were celebrating an engagement. I know. Blew my mind.
Oh, I got another engagement for you too, but okay.
Oh, tell me.
So we know, well, this might be a little old, but we know Innocence and Annie divorced, right? Not even final. Also engaged. And then maybe a few weeks back announced pregnancy. Celebrating, live, party, happy. Mind you, his wife, who he's still very much so married to, currently going through a divorce, had a miscarriage recently. What?
She was pregnant.
Yeah, she had a miscarriage.
Ooh, Jesus.
Yes, I know, right?
I did see something, and there was a new social media post where it was like a repost of a live stream. And I did see a lot of Nigerian women were like just shaming this new woman, who I think is a political figure in Nigeria, in one of the states in Nigeria. She's a big political figure, and a lot of the Nigerian women were shaming her on that live stream. So I'm very happy that Annie is getting at least some public support. I know, based on her reaction to all of this being public, she probably leans heavily into the comment section.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure. Whew.
So I'm glad she's getting the support that she needs. Hopefully. Not from him, but it's okay. Annie will be fine.
I think that is going to wrap up our topics for the day. Did you have anything else you want to add, LA?
No, I don't have anything else that I want to add. I'm just very excited. Episode 3 is on the way for our viewers and our listeners. That's very exciting. And what about you?
I think we covered all our topics for today. I know we normally do our robes and recommendations, but I thought we would introduce a new segment for tonight so we can have a variety of things for our audience. So how about we do a write-in segment? So if any of our listeners have questions or they have situations they're going through and they want advice, playing with the name, but I guess for now it can be, what would Shy do? But we can kind of read your questions live. We'll keep you anonymous. And you can DM us. You can email us. You can leave them in the comments. We'll be sure to check. And we'll add that to our next episode if we get, enough feedback or comments in or topics that we can discuss on the next couple shows. What do you think about that, LA?
I think that's perfect. They can send an email to bonnetsandbathrobes@gmail.com. We'll put that in the description box for anyone to ask us a question. And Shy is an expert, and I, of course, will chime in a bit.
There we go. So with that, I guess we will be signing off for the night. Be sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you want us to talk about. We're going to try to interact with you guys in the comments, and we are looking forward to episode 4.
Bye, guys. Good night.
Bye. Have a good night.